The sun is shining, it's a lovely day, a perfect morning for kids to play. But you've got lots of bills to pay. What can you do? The work's real hard and the pay's real low, and every hour goes oh so slow. But at the end of the day, there's nowhere to go. Go to Avenue Q. You live on Avenue Q, and your friends do too. Till our dreams come true, we live on Avenue Q. We live on Avenue Q. We live on Avenue Q. Hi everyone, I'm Elizabeth Cote, and welcome to Entertainment Live. Today, of course, we're talking about Avenue Q, which is the awesome off-Broadway musical right now. Of course, it used to be an awesome Broadway musical, but new musicals tended to come in and they kind of bumped it over to the side. It is still very, very awesome for anybody who hasn't seen it yet. I know I'm a little late in the game in reviewing this. So this is loosely based off of Sesame Street, the kids show from the 90s. And the reason I say loosely is because the structure and some of the characters are very similar, but it is very, very inappropriate. And, you know, they have things and say things you would never actually see on Sesame Street. This is about a guy, his name is Princeton. He just graduated from college and he finds an apartment at Avenue Q, and it's kind of the struggle of him and all his neighbors and how they overcome their difficulties and kind of come together as a neighborhood in the end to help support each other, even if it's only for the moment. The structure of it was very interesting. And this is where the structure of it was definitely like Sesame Street, because they had different groups of characters kind of having their own situations going on. Like they had the roommates, Rod and Nikki, who always argued because they're polar opposites. Nikki is this kind of, slacker type of a guy who's always getting on Rod's nerves, and Rod is very straight-laced and, is always has something to complain about when it comes to Nikki. And you have to wonder how they became roommates in the first place and best friends in the first place if they just get on each other's nerves all the time. But you find out that Rod actually has a secret. And the secret is something that was floating around in the original Sesame Street show between Bert and Ernie, which I never believed, but apparently people actually believe this. So you find out that he has a secret, and Nikki finds out about it and accidentally tells people, and Rod has to cover it up, and their whole relationship basically blows up in their faces. Which, I was very sad about that. I liked Nikki, and I liked Rod, and I liked them together, and you really feel for these two and want them to work things out, even though Rod is a complete jackass about the whole thing. And then, of course, you have Kate Monster. She's your average girl, even though she's a monster. You ignore that fact, because, they kind of have monsters being part of all the different races of the world, which is awesome. Like, go different races of the world. And, she's just your average, she's an assistant kindergarten teacher whose boss isn't really giving her a chance, basically because of her race, but we don't find that out until later. And she can't really find a boyfriend or have much of a social life, because I guess her work tends to get in the way. And basically, she does get a social life, but then commitment issues come in, and there's Princeton, who I said earlier, he's out of college now, he thinks he has a bigger purpose in life, and he's trying to find that purpose, so his commitment issues kind of go out the window. And you follow the struggles of all these people. In the end, they do kind of come together. And what I like about this musical is it's very honest. When you go to a musical, there's a group of people, they have some kind of situation tries to get solved, it gets worse. And then in the end, they solve it, and it's kind of like they're happily ever after, everyone's happy, and everything's going to be okay now. But this one tells you, and and is very honest about this, in real life, there are no happily ever afters. You know, things get bad and then they get fixed, but only for a short amount of time, and God only knows how long that time's going to be. So, you know, things are okay, but at the end, but they're only okay for that moment. Because God only knows when they're going to get worse again. And that's what I liked about this. I liked that it was honest. What I also liked is that it started out as this spoofy, goofy musical that had all these things happening, people making very horrible choices and horrible situations happening because of those choices. And then eventually friends come together, people come together, and everything gets solved. You know? So the first part of the musical is spoofy, it's fun, it's wonderfully creative. And the second part's very dramatic and serious. Some people might not like that. I loved it. I'm the type of person who loves the best of both worlds. I love comedy. If you make me laugh, I'm going to have a great time. But I also love, you know, when storylines just tug at my heartstrings and I cry and I just feel for all these people. You know, my emotions go up and down, and I loved that this musical did that. And it's very hard to do that in a musical with songs like "The Internet is for Porn" and "If You Were Gay." With songs like that, you really expect that kind of thing all the way through. And that's not what I got, and I loved it. What really helped enhance that was definitely the puppeteers. You know, they tended to play multiple characters, and one that really stuck out in my mind was Kate Monster. Well, the puppeteer who played her. She played both Kate Monster and Lucy the Slut. Now, these are very different characters. Like I said before, Kate Monster is a very nice, sweet girl, and then Lucy the Slut is vain and egotistical. You know, she only cares about herself. She doesn't care who she's hurting, and she'll sleep with anything that walks. She doesn't even have to like the guy. She will sleep with him anyway. And just seeing the same actor playing both of them was mind-blowing. In fact, I forgot that the same actor was playing both of them because they were just so different and so interesting. And I was so absorbed in everything, I was forgetting about puppets and puppeteers and all that stuff. I was just seeing real people going through real issues. And that is when a musical just shines. When there are puppets on stage and you forget that they're puppets. Oh, a warning about the puppets. Yes, there are puppets in this musical. Now, don't let that deter you from going. Because, you know, it's not going to change anything. Like I said, you will forget that they're puppets. However, just because they're puppets does not mean that you should be taking your kids to see this. Because this is the most inappropriate show ever. They make fun of getting drunk. They make fun of sex. They make fun of, like, drugs. They make fun of porn. They make fun of racism. You do not want your kids exposed to something that makes fun of racism. And if you take your kids to see this after you see this review, then you're just stupid. Or you don't pay attention to anything that anybody tells you. And I'm sorry, guys. I don't mean to insult you. I love you all. I love all my fans. But I'm just warning you, do not take your kids to see this. If you have kids. If you are a kid, I suggest you don't see it either. And that's really all I have to say about Avenue Q. Bye, everyone.